Welcome to the Remote Creative Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Reed. And hey, do you like stories? Because I have a story to tell you today. It's a tale of two prospective clients. And I had very different experiences with each of them. And the first experience wasn't all that great. It was a learning experience is what it was. And then the second experience I had was after finishing this book that I had read at the time called The Win Without Pitching Manifesto by Blair Enns. It's a great book and it taught me some really great things. And so met with this one client, thought it went great. It didn't. Read the book, met with the second client. The results were much different. So let's get into this first client. He contacted me and was looking to get a website done, and I was all for it. I knew I could execute on this project. It was going to be amazing. So I said, hey, let's meet up at this restaurant. I'm going to treat you to lunch. We're going to have a great time. We're going to talk about your project, and we're going to get the head start on this and get going. So we meet for lunch. It's a 30-minute drive out to the restaurant. I spend 2 hours talking to the client. We get to know each other a little bit, and we start discussing the project. He's telling me what he wants done. I'm suggesting some different things, and just giving away all of these really great strategies and whatnot. And he hasn't paid a dime at this point yet. But it seems like the majority of my clients in the past, I've pretty much landed them if they've come to me first. But I have had several experiences, maybe more than I would like to admit, where I spent a ton of time up front with a client and they decided to turn and go another direction. And that's what happened with this client. So I come back, I drive 30 minutes back. So I'm 3 hours into this already of my valuable time. And I sit down and I spend another maybe 30 minutes to an hour putting this beautiful proposal together. It's got a picture in the background and all these different things and looks great. All the details are there. I send it off. He emails me back and says, hey, this sounds really good, but we're going to go in another direction. So I spent all this time and effort, and I was a little bit ticked off, if I'm being honest, but it was all my fault, this whole situation. But I didn't know any better at the time. And so I was already in the process of kind of reading this book. I had just kind of gotten into it, and I finish it, and I realized that I did several things wrong. There were two kind of key things that I really honed in on that I'd made the mistake of. And so there's two particular proclamations in the Win Without Pitching Manifesto. One of them is, we will not solve problems before we are paid. And the other one is, we will address issues of money early. And I didn't do both of those things. There were several other several other proclamations that I could have done better as well, especially the one about doing with words what we used to do with paper. And I shouldn't have sent that proposal off to him. I should have given a price at the end. But anyway, next client. So this next client was a very different experience. The guy calls me up, sounded like he had this very ambitious project, right? And we're talking about it, and I'm just telling him, hey, pitch me your idea. Let me hear it. And so he gives me the idea, and before I go into any solutions for this guy, the first thing I say after that is, okay, well, what's the budget that you have set aside for the project? And he goes, $500. Now listen to what he wanted done. He wanted to build a social network site comparable to Facebook. Seriously. And he also wanted a forum created where people can have conversations too, but maybe a little bit more locked down and private, and to have that kind of forum-like experience. And I told him, I kind of chuckled a little bit in my head because I knew what I would have done had I not read that book. I would have spent the next couple hours talking to this. Maybe I would have taken him out to lunch. I don't know. I would have spent a lot of time really digging into the problem because I'm in the creative industry and I love to solve problems with all these tools that we have. And it's such a temptation to want to jump in there and just solve it and start brainstorming, start that process. But that's where this book does such a great job of fixing that part of your brain that helps you to not only respect your own time and position yourself better as an expert in working with people, but it's better for the clients as well. It helps them to not waste their time also, because time is being wasted on both sides going through this process when we don't even know if it's a good fit yet. And we think that we're trying to find a good fit by having all these deep conversations. But really what it comes down to is hearing the pitch. And if you think you can help them, you take the job. If you don't, if you hear what they're trying to do and you know that's way above your head, say, hey, you know what, this isn't going to be a good fit for me. We're going to have to kind of part ways. And that's what I did with this guy. And, you know, anyone that has a dream or a project or something they want to start, I can certainly be on that level there with them. And it's hard to be told that the solution you're looking for isn't going to be a good fit for you. He really wanted to work with me. So I told him, I said, here's the deal. I'm going to give you some ideas of where you can go next to possibly get this done. So I gave him some suggestions where within his budget, he could potentially get some of that done with some open source tools and things like that. And he was very appreciative. He even went on to the platform in which he found me and gave me a 5-star review, said, hey, you know, this guy couldn't help me, but he pointed me in a really good direction, gave me some ideas. And that was great. So even though I didn't get him as a client, I consider that interaction a total win-win. We both got something good out of the exchange. And probably most importantly, from my perspective, I learned something new that really had an impact on my business moving forward. And that was a really great thing for me. And it's been a great thing for all of the other clients that I've worked with. We've been able to find really good fits right off the bat. And that has led into some great projects, and it's helped me avoid other projects that maybe wouldn't have been a good experience for both of us on either end. So anyway, I hope you learned a lesson from that story. I know that I did, but get out there, make some stuff happen, and we'll talk to you next time.